Okay, so first of all, um, good afternoon and hello to every one of you here. So my name is Amit Husu, and I will be the moderator for this session. So today we have the webinar is a live question and answer session on GCC 2.0 and project portal and other requirements. Before I begin, let me first of all, introduce my colleagues here and who will also the panelists and support me in answering the questions that we get from you. Uh, so um, welcome our panelists. We have Joseph, Prakash, Shibindu Biswas, we have Mayank, and we have Subra also here. So, Shubhendu, would you and Joseph and every one of you, would you quickly introduce yourself in less than 30 seconds, please? In the meantime, people might join us.
Okay. Hi, Sugandha Viren. So I'm a director at Global Carbon Council looking after regulatory matters, digitization, issuances process and all. So we've been in GCC for the last 4 years nearly. So yeah, welcome you all. Thank you so much.
Joseph,
Hello,
please.
hi. Myself, I'm Joseph. I'm also director in Global Carbon Council. I primarily look after registration aspects and a bit of NPS and also engaging with project owners. These are the key areas. Looking forward for fruitful interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Mayank, over to you.
Yes, hi everyone. Mayank this side. I'm looking after the regulatory matters and program development at GCC. Thank you.
Subra?
Hi, I'm Shubro. I'm looking after the registrations areas in GCC.
Yeah. So I think the team here that's before you has lots and lots of experience on carbon markets, right from CDM and other voluntary standards to GCC, but also in a lot of other areas. Shubindu was previously, with different roles with DNV earlier, but also with ENY and First Climate and many other hats he has been. He has domain knowledge on oil and gas operations. Joseph used to work for ENY India, but also Russia and many other organizations. I will not really go into detail, but I think I just want to give you a kind of an idea that the panel that is before you is very experienced and they will be able to answer your questions to a great extent. Mayank, of course, he was with SGS India, was one of the another leading DOEs at some point in time. And then he worked in KBS, but also with Earthhood, and then with many other organizations with UN in different capacities. And Subra also was working with a lot of EKI and a lot of other organizations on project development. Myself was with GCC for last 6 years. I handle all the operations of the GCC. And prior to this, I was with 8 years with CDM on regulatory management at UNFCCC in Bonn, but then also with the World Bank and other areas in as auditor in DNV. With this, I would now like to quickly now start the session for today. We have close to 63 participants now. I think people can join us in the meantime. So we had about this is the seventh session today, right? We had since we launched GCC 2.0 and the portal and the requirements and the documents and so on and so forth. We had series of 6 webinars. They are available publicly. YouTube channel with the name Global Carbon Council is something. If you can go to YouTube, you'll find all the recordings there. But also these recordings are available on our website. So today we have kept this open house session where we provide opportunity to stakeholders and our participants to ask questions directly live. We also had asked our participants to send us questions in advance if they want. So we have received some questions, and over the period of time last, I would say more than a month, 1.5 months, We have been receiving a lot of questions. Many of them we have turned into FAQs and provided response is publicly available on GCC website. There are recent questions that have been asked, which we have compiled together also and would convert them into FAQs. So today we will present them first of all, because they are questions coming from different participants, and that will also help us to understand the whole process. And then we have few questions that were submitted few days back, I think. We can take them up, and then we'll see how it goes, and we'll provide you opportunity then also to ask questions. But as we always do, we have some ground rules. You can use the electronic chats in asking question. You can type them in the chat. Use your electronic hands whenever you want to ask questions. Keep your microphones muted. And as usual, we may have few presentations, but they are actually not something which we can circulate. The FAQs are there, which will be available on the website itself. So with this, I would quickly ask you, I don't know if Anam, are you ready now with the camera for a picture?
Yes, sir, we can do that.
Yeah. So if you can quickly, all of you open your cameras first for a quick picture, and then probably we can move into this session. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you, Anam. Okay, so let's move now to let me project this slides. Okay, so
Yes.
so these are some of the questions. So we have categorized them into certain topics, combined all the questions together so that we can have a better experience on these. So the first question is with regard to transition and migration from GCC 1.0 to 2.0. I would like to invite Shubhendu. Shubhendu, can you take it up from here, please?
Yeah, please. So basically, these are compilations of all that we have been receiving over mails as questions when we went live with the portal. So we basically tried to categorize them in different types of questions that we have been receiving. So first section is with respect to transition from 1.0 to 2.0. So the first type of question that obviously was how do we transition from 1.0 to 2.0, or when can we transition from 1.0 to 2.0? And there have been instances where our project, our stakeholders have said that, oh, I don't see my projects in 2.0. Where is my project and all? So just for the first part of it, that is, so at this point in time, you have to look at the transition plan for projects which are in the registration project process to understand what are when project get migrated and all. So at this point in time, the mandatory phase in the mandatory requirements, all projects which haven't got into GSC is now moved to 2.0, and projects which get registered are moved to 2.0. In between, all the projects which are in the validation process or under RFR or have submitted RFRs as in 1.0, they can only be transitioned to 2.0 when you give us a consent to do that. They will not be automatically transferred. So how to give a consent, how to do that, maybe Joseph can show those relevant areas to show us on what to do and all. But remember that we will not be able to move those projects from 1.0 to 2.0 unless you request us to do so. So only on receiving a request are we going to initiate. Now there was one confusion that what we have done is that we did not have prior consideration form in 1.0. But if you look at the 2.0 portal, you will find all the projects already have created a prior consideration form, which is in public view. So they have been auto-generated, because in 2.0, there's a requirement of a prior consideration, which was not there under 1.0. So when you come to 2.0, there will be a gap in the requirement. So we have auto-generated them. So looking at the prior consideration form, do not think that your project has got already migrated. It has not migrated. And if you go to 1.0 project portal, if your project is already migrated to 2.0, you will see that caution given on the top that your project is already migrated. So you cannot do anything further on this portal, on this project. If it is not so, nothing is there. So your project is still live on 1.0. So that was the first part. Joseph, can you just show us the relevant steps on this one, on migration, how to do from 1.0 to 2.0?
Okay, you mean to say I have
The one wherein people can opt to move from 1.0 to 2.0, and what they need to do for that. Yeah.
Okay, I have a few slides just to means these are more towards the slides which sets the context, like which are the projects needs to go move on, and and the milestones. So just to reiterate, one is the 2.0 onset has happened on 1st February 2025, and the transition phase is still 31st January 2026. And the mandatory phase of GCC 2.0 would start from 1st February 2026. So now, as Shundu had mentioned, like just to reiterate again, which are the ones which are mandatory, which are the ones which are having options, and how to do it. So as Shundu had mentioned, any new projects or any new submissions that is like of A1 category or A3 category, which is going to be put up in the in GCC after 1st Feb 2025 would be in GCC 2.0 and would be in the new portal. So there's no doubt about it. I'm talking about the new projects. With the existing project, what happens is like the existing project which are under the stage where like it is not gone ahead with GSE, where it's not gone with the global stakeholder consultation, but which is in the very initial stages. These projects have been mandatorily shifted towards to GCC 2.0, and you can see these projects in GCC 2.0 portal. That is now shown that mentioned about that. So they are migrated here, and now you can't access these projects in the existing portal or the old portal. And the process for which I think Shund has already mentioned it, and subsequently he will discuss further on that. Now, for whom it is optional. So if you see here in the last row, the project which are undergoing validation or verification, what you call, the project which for which the GSE has expired in 1.0 and they want to go ahead with the re-GSE, for instance, and the project which for which RFR has been submitted, a request for registration has been submitted. These three kind of categories, it's optional that you can opt for staying in 1.0 for another 1 year. Means it's not 1 year, almost 10 months. So you have option to stay in 1.0, or you can have an option to go for the 2.0 immediately. So once you decide that you go for 2.0, then you have to intimate us through email from operations account email. Everyone knows about it. So you can intimate us that like you want to initiate the transition to 2.0 for giving the submission number, the project code, and the project title, and so on and so forth. We'll review this internally and we'll get back to you about how this project will transfer into 2.0, what is the process to be followed. There was one radio button in the existing portal for giving you consent. Now that radio button is due to certain technical aspects, it's not there. So now you need to only send us an email saying that you want to transit to 2.0, and then from there onwards, our team would take it forward. Apart from that, as I said, it is very optional only for you to stay in 1.0 or you have to move towards 2.0. Depending upon the stage, you can decide. But like as we in during course of time, we have reiterated again that like if you want to go for 2.0, obviously there will be no re-JC again if there's a period already available, and there's no need to change verifier, and there is no need to do a local stakeholder consultation. So this is the overall thing which we had discussed multiple times. We thought we'll set the context again. And if any doubt on this, please feel free to put in the chat box, or you can raise electronic hand when we have a Q&A session for this particularly. Over to you, Shondana.
Just one thing before I think Shubhendu can take over from there. So there is a question in the chat box from Verisa. She's saying that in which document I can find this information on RFR options. So I think first of all, all these documents are public on GCC website. You know where our resource center is on the website on the top. So if you go to the top, let me quickly try to show it to you because these questions are coming since I was looking in the last webinar also, the previous webinar also. So let me try to pull it up to show you once for all. So once you go to Global Carbon Council, on the top you have a resource center here, right? So if you click this
Amit,
resource center,
we don't.
Amit, it's not visible.
We-
You
Oh,
can
yeah,
share
yeah,
your
yeah,
screen.
Can you
okay,
share your
okay.
screen? We cannot see your screen.
Sure. Yes. Yes, now you can see, right? Okay. So, yeah, you can see this now.
Yes,
Yeah.
visible. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is the GCC website, right? globalcarboncouncil.com, and you see, the panel here on the top. So resource center is something, when you click the resource center, you will get access to all the regulatory documents and all the guidance documents. They are all always available here. Then you have GCC 2.0 projects portal. If you click here, you will get into the projects portal itself. And if you want to access the previous projects portal, because this project 1.0 projects portal will be available till January 2026. So till that time, this would be used, right? After that, probably it will be closed. So then if you want to look at public consultation documents, you can go here and look at the documents. There are a few other documents like frequently asked questions. I talked to you about this earlier, and we've been talking about this, that there are a lot of questions that are available. You can see the questions here, right? So it'll give you all the questions, project owners, eligibility, methodologies, registration issuance, verifiers, GCC 2.0 related queries. So all of them are here. Once you go here, you have answers to each of them. So I would suggest you please go there. Many of your queries will be addressed through those FAQs. Then if still there are some queries left, you can just send us an email. We'll quickly respond, right? There is no end to capacity building. We may continue this webinar for years. Still, if you do not read those, you will still have a lot of questions. Anyway, okay. So going back again, where those documents are. So resource center, right? You have 1.0 regulatory documents. I will not go there. You have already seen them, how it looks like. 2.0 resource center. So now you look at this, all documents are here, right? The framework document is here called the program framework. It gives you broader level understanding about the GCC rules. We have manual also, it links different documents together, so you can establish a linkage between different documents. There are a number of requirement documents for regular track, for technological removal like CCS or nature waste removals. So if you want to see the specific requirements with regard to it, then you have to go to these sections. But the regular track documents are applicable to all project types, all sector types. So there are multiple documents here. I will not really go into details. There is standard on double counting, standard on CORSIA, standard on development methodologies, standard on ICVCM eligibility, validation verification standard. There is project standard for the project owners, primarily environmental social safeguard standards, definitions, and so on and so forth. Then procedural documents, if you want to look at what verifier should do, what will happen next, or what will happen in the process of registration issuance or post-registration change, you have to refer to program processes. Program process is the key document. Another key document is project standard, and the other third document important for the verifiers is validation and verification standard and procedure for approval of verifiers. Then there is also a grievance procedure that will happen if in case you do not get favorable or if your project, let's say, is rejected and you do not agree with this, then you have an option of grievance and appeals. Yeah, I think these are them, and all templates are here listed one by one for different types of documents. We're talking about the transition plan. Transition plan for registration is here on your screen. So whatever Joseph and Shubindu explained, everything is here. It'll tell you everything, benefits of transition from 1.0 to 2.0, one by one, everything. Right? It will tell you what will happen in terms of the project or the timelines, what will be the implications, right? You just have to go to it and you just have to read it, right? Okay. So now, similarly for transaction plan for issuance is also here, right? Fee schedule, because the fee has been changed, you all know it. So new fee schedule. However, I was in India quite recently, and people were saying, "Oh, your GCC has increased the fee." Actually, the real thing is that GCC has not increased the fee. The earlier fee was about close to, I would say, 15 cents for ACCs, and then for labels, E plus, S plus, and SDG is about 6, so 21 cents, and transfer fee about 4 cents, so this takes it to 25 cents. And then there was retirement fees of 4 cents, which was close to 29 cents for basic type of credits. If you look at the similar type of credits in GCC 2.0, the new fee is 19 cents, which includes EL, EBL, and SL, SBL, SL, labels. So 19 cents. Then you have transfer fee, which has been reduced by 2 cents, now 2 cents only, so which takes to 21 cents. And then on the top of this you have retirement fee, again 2 cents, which takes it maximum to 25 cents. So there is a reduction of around 4 cents. So it's not increased. And on the top of this, you can further reduce the transfer cost, because you have a chance to have 3 focal points for the ownership of credits. So if you divide the credits upfront, then you reduce your transfer cost by 67%. So these are the advantages. I think these are all covered in these transaction documents. I think this is it with regard to documents. I will not really go into one last thing about the project portal. There are manuals, we call them project portal manuals. It tells you everything about how to initiate a PRC, what to do, step-by-step process of what to do in the project portal, how to access the portal, how to open an account, how to submit a LOA for the post-session change, how to do PRC, and all the stuff is all here. And we are continuously updating this section. So keep track of this. You have all the guidance here, and then you have FAQs, which I already showed you. So I think that probably explains you the whole thing, where different documents are. Okay, I will stop here now. So we go back to back to the slides. So Shivindu, right? You're still looking at slides, right?
No.
No, not yet.
We
Okay.
reshare it.
Okay. Yes. Shivindu, you had the floor.
Okay, so we were stuck at the first one. The second one is logging into 2.0 portal when the project is still active in 1.0. Please understand that even if you try to log in into 2.0 portal, you will not be able to get an access to, because your project is live in 1.0. So unless you, as Joseph said and Amit said, let us know that you are willing to transition to 2.0 and send us a mail on operations account, we won't be able to migrate to 2.0. You will not have an access to the project in 2.0. Then resubmission date. So there's a lot of questions that's coming to us that my project has expired on 1.0. I have to do a re-GSC. Then should I do a re-GSC on 1.0 or should I migrate to 2.0? So it's your call at the end of the day. If you want, you can continue under 1.0 to do the re-GSC after paying the re-GSC fee. So, but then you have to conclude validation of the project by 31st of January 2026. If not, you will be migrated to mandatory 2.0. You can also decide to migrate to 2.0 at this point in time, at the point where you have to do a re-GSC. What you get then is that you get another 6 months to complete the validation process and submit the validator can submit the request for registration within the next 6 months period. If not, then it will again go to a resubmission phase. So we say re-GSC, which is in 1.0, we say resubmission in the case of 2.0. And there is a fee that is attached at the point of re-GSC or resubmission. So it is up to you to decide where you want to continue with the re-GSC, whether in 1.0 or you want to migrate to 2.0 and you want to continue the validation under 2.0 for the next 6 months period. There is another set of questions that do come up very often. That is, what are the forms and the templates to be used for the issuance process, even if I follow a project which is registered under 1.0 standard. It is there in the transition plan under the issuance. If your project is registered under 1.0 standard and you want to continue issuing as per 1.0 standard, you will get an access to all those labels and the markets which is there in the 1.0 standard. But then you have to use the forms and templates which are there under the 2.0 portal. And all these forms and templates are made in a manner that you can choose to go with I 1.0 standard or whoever is going with 2.0 standard will go for 2.0 standard. But for 2.0 standard, you have to do a PRC and migrate to 2.0. So forms and templates would be as per 2.0 for your template formats to be done on the portal of 2.0, but access to market and labels would be as per 1.0 standard. So you will have them on the portal. You'll see all the forms there. There's another question that's come very often that I already dealt with. What do you do in case of a re-GSC that has come? Obviously, you can go, 1.0 is live. You can do your re-GSC on 1.0 portal. It is not mandatory for you to migrate to 2.0. If you wish, let us know. We can migrate your project to 2.0. You can then continue in 2.0. From that point on, you have another 6 months to complete the validation. If not, you will go into a resubmission phase. Okay, the next set.
There is one question on one comment in the box. It will be good to explain the advantages of migrating to 2.0. I think we have repeatedly said in the document transition plan, it gives you details of advantages of migrating to 2.0. The first advantage is that you get access to new labels, which is also one of the questions that has been asked. You get new labels, CORSIA, Article 6.2, ICVCM, ARAC label. If you want to take advantage of this, then you should migrate. If you think that no, you don't want, ultimately it's your choice. You have to make that decision. Again, if you want lower fee, you should migrate to 2.0 because I explained the fee thing. I will not repeat that again. And you also have lesser, I would say, transfer charge. So look, when you look at the cost, please look at the whole package. Do not look at, oh, well, your GSC fee is now $1,000. It's increased. Look at the whole package. I think the whole package gives you better insights into the cost. It is cheaper as compared to previous ones. Now compare apple to apples. Compare previous specifications to the new specifications. If you try to compare, oh well, you also have CORSIA, which has 5 cents, which has 4 cents additional. That is different product altogether. So you cannot compare. Compare the previous ACCs with E+, S+, and SDGs with the current what is offered in GCC 2.0. Okay, I think probably we covered this. There's a lot of discussion already on transition from GCC 1.0 to 2.0. You have the document. Please read the document, and then we can move to the next section.
Yeah, actually, like I shared the benefits one, so you can reshare it, sir. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think Joseph, we are short of time because we already have 30 minutes through. Yeah. We have to move ahead. I think we have given information to everyone what is there. We have summarized them. I think they can pick it from there. So Shubindu, please, on user access and account management, how to start.
Yeah, please share. It's not visible.
Is it? Yeah, I will share it.
Okay, the next category which is there is with respect to user accounts and access and account management. So there are a few questions that do come in that some users who are secondary focal points have a question on why can't I log in on GCC 2.0. So it's not different from GCC 1.0 project portal. The login is given only to the primary focal point. The focal point 1, the primary contact has the login ID, which is used to log in into the portal. The secondary focal point is defined therein for all communications that go out so that there is another person who takes care of all questions that might be going out, anything that corresponds as go out from GCC. But the login is with the primary guy on the focal point 1 only. So the secondary cannot create a login into the portal unless they use the email ID of the primary one and the password. Then there are profiles which have multiple roles which are therein. For example, there are profiles which has got an organizational role defined as a focal point 1. They also have multiple public user role therein. Please note that your role, depending on the role that you choose, your access is defined. So you'd have different access in a public user and a different access as a focal point 1. So do not expect the same kind of an access in each user because your user role is defined and the access to the portal is defined. So that has to be noted. Then there are duplicate accounts related access issues. So what happens is that there is already an account which is there in your name. If you try to create another one, obviously system will not allow you. It will flag an error saying that there is already an user against this email ID. So if you encounter that, send us a mail we will look into it and activate the one which is there. It might not be active therein. So we will activate that after ascertaining why are there different roles for the same company therein. So duplicate account is another issue we are encountering. This is one which had happened early on when we started the portal, that we are not receiving activation emails. This was because of a problem which was there in the system with respect to activation of emails. It was getting stopped. And at our end, now it has got debugged. In case anyone has issues there, with respect to that you're trying to log in into the portal, it says that an activation email has been sent to an email ID, but you do not receive it. Please, first of all, check all the folders in your junk mail and everywhere, and you don't get it, send a mail to us. We will look into it and we will manually send again another activation email to you so that you can go and activate your login and you can log into the system.
Thank you, Shubhendu. There is one question from Tanushree Mukherjee, but her question is that they have submitted a project, and then it's under completeness check. They receive commit from GCC, and now it's automatically migrated to 2.0. So if it is migrated, obviously it would have been migrated to 2.0 because if the request for registration is not completed, right, or they have just started the GSC. So they are saying that we're unable to submit response on 2.0. Can you help? I think this is what Shubhendu said, actually. If you need help, please, if nothing is working, send an email to us. We'll come back to you. We'll do something and we'll try to see how we can help you. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay.
I think we can carry on. Bhayankar asked to get more clarity.
Yes. No. Okay. Yeah. I think you can move on.
Next step. Can you please move the slide?
Cannot move the slide. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So there are another set of questions which are there with the letter of authorization and the nomination related queries. The next slide, please. Yeah. So number one is letter of authorization. As Amit said, if you go to a resource page, there is a manual which says how you can submit a change in letter of authorization. In case your project is already registered, you want to do a change in the letter of authorization. What are those steps which are there? Please note, there are certain stuff which are written therein saying you got to do this. Although a slide is not, again, we are revising that. For example, after you do the whole stuff, you have got to submit, make a submission of the letter of authorization. Unless you press the submit button, it will not come to us. So simply filling up the soft version and downloading it is not a submission. There is an upload LOA portion there, which is that you have got to upload the signed copy of the letter of authorization which you have downloaded as a PDF. So if you are submitting maybe 1.0, we have given a a breather for all the entities we have already had a letter of authorization under 1.0. Would not like to go back to the client to again get a re-signature on the letter of authorization. You can now, and there's no change between the letter of authorization of 1.0 and 2.0. You can upload the one which was there on 1.0, but you have to upload that. Unless you hit the upload button, it will not come to us. The submission will not be complete. So that's one. The other question which has been coming on and off is, where can I get the soft version of the letter of authorization under 2.0? Please note, under 2.0, there is no soft version which you can fill up, get it signed by the client and submit to us. The letter of authorization is rendered as a soft version on the GCC 2.0 portal. The moment you log into the portal and want to submit a project, you are taken to the letter of authorization page where you have to electronically fill up the form, the soft version. After you fill that up, you can download a PDF version of that, then get the signature on it and upload that signed copy of the PDF to complete the letter of authorization submission process. There is no doc file there under our forms and templates, which you can directly fill it up and take to the client for signature. It is on the portal. Why so? Because in order to reduce your hassles, once you enter the focal point name, the legal owner name, all the details of the project owners and all, you do not need to subsequently fill this information anywhere in the project flow. This is carried forward automatically by the system. So title, project owner, legal owner, focal point details are populated automatically in rest of the forms, except for the PSF main page and the PMR main page, which is a Word file till now. The rest of all the documents have these automatically done so that there are no, there is no error in it. You don't need to resubmit the whole information again and again subsequently. The Third question, that is status of letter of nomination. There is no letter of nomination under 2.0. It is only a letter of authorization where it can be that the legal owner is the project owner is the focal point, like that of the letter of nomination. But the document, the nomenclature is a letter of authorization. LOA under 2.0, there is no letter of nomination under 2.0. So these are the questions on letter of authorization and nomination related issues.
So there are a few questions that have come up with regard to the LOA. One is from Vanessa. So she's saying, just like the LOA, will the prior consideration form not have a template? So
No.
we know what to fill in the portal.
So yeah, the moment you go to the portal and you want to submit a project, the first thing is you have got to create a prior consideration form. It is soft version on the portal. You have to just submit in the details in that and click submit. You automatically get a number to that and it gets into public view. So there is no Word document which you can fill up and upload. It's on the portal.
There is one more question on submitted by Ksenia, and the question is, the project that was submitted for a project that has started a few months ago. PSF is still under development, so they are still developing them, and they would like to clarify it's acceptable under GCC 2.0, and in that context, to submit the prior consideration form after the project start date. So it seems like the project has already started, and they are asking now, is a first submission under GCC 2.0. Can I submit the prior consideration form or not? Number one. Number two question is whether the local stakeholder consultation is necessary to be done because the project has already started, right? And then they're saying that there is no requirement in the host country to have this LSC.
Right. So coming back to that, number one, yes, prior consideration form can be submitted at the time when you go ahead with submitting the project to GCC under 2.0, because you have a stricture that you have to make the submission to GCC under A3 category projects within 1 year of the start date of the project. So anyway, your prior consideration form is the starting point. So that will come within 1 year of the start date of the project, because that's the starting point. So to the first point, yes, you can submit it after the project start date, but within 1 year, because you have to make the rest of the submission also within 1 year. That's one. Number two, with respect to the local stakeholder consultation, please go to our relevant section on project standard, and it specifically says that the local stakeholder consultation has to be done before the start date of the project activity or submission of the project to GCC. So if your project has already started, before submitting it to GCC, the PSF, you have to conduct the local stakeholder consultation in case you do not have a legal requirement in your host country.
Okay, so there is one more question from Vanessa. Does GCC intend to provide a PMR, project monitoring report instructions for 2.0? At the moment, only template is available without filling instruction.
Yeah. So what happens is that we have already given you the template for the PMR. We are developing the instructions. We will publish it. Yes.
Yeah, I think the rationale of this also is that we know currently everyone would either focus on submitting a new project and developing the PSF or submitting a post-registration change, right? So the issuance still has a bit of time, I would say, and that was the rationale for us how we prioritize different documents. I don't see any other question. Perhaps we can move to the next one. We answered many things with regard to prior consideration form. See that if something is left.
Okay. So just a minute. So prior consideration form, number one is steps for adding a prior consideration form in GCC 2.0. We haven't still published the one that's going to come in the upcoming manual, which is getting published. It is a very simple step. Go to prior consideration form, click on the plus button on the top, add a prior consideration. You'll have a soft version, fill it up and submit. That's it. There's nothing more to that and all. But we are still going to including in the new upcoming manual on the registration process.
See, prior consideration form what will it have? It will have the unique title of the project. It will have some small description of the project, and it will have some contact details. I think the reference number of the prior consideration form is generated on its own. So it's not, in terms of concept, it's not completely a new thing. It is the idea is that this project was considered prior. You started developing documentation. You started a decision to move ahead in the project. That is how it's checked. Okay,
The
then
next
let's
one. Yeah, the next one, just an update. Some of you tried to create a prior consideration form and you landed up with an error saying that it cannot be submitted. That is because we also had conducted have certain safeguards put in place. When you put in your free text in certain text box. Well, for example, in the project brief is a free text area. So as a part of our safeguards, we do not allow some Trojans or some things to be put in which could trigger, that the information is taken out from a portal and all. So these are safeguards in place. So at times what happens is we have special characters which are there in your submission form. System feels there's a bug in that submission and system blocks that submission. So in that, if you have such kind of instances where trying to submit a prior consideration form, you're not being able to submit because system feels there is something which is wrong in the submission and it flags that, just let us know on, send a mail to us with that. We will try to see what it is, because it does happen that the system feels there's a bug in your submission and they don't allow you to submit it, especially in terms when you have special characters put into the form there.
Okay, I think this is the end of this. Some of the questions. We have other questions also. I would say there is one question also from Kevin, but Kevin, I think probably if you can hold your question for some time, we're going to come back to you on this.
That question is here only, the same slide.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. So the questions that are in the slide actually will be answered. So there are 5 types of categories on which the questions have been submitted quite recently upon our call. The first one from Omni Hydro. So there are many questions. So we'll go one by one. The first question is, it seems that GCC 1.0 provides limited access to markets, namely CORSIA C+ only, while 2.0 provides access to Article 6.2, CA+ label, CCP, C+, ICVCM. That's correct. I think we have been saying so since since today also, but that's why there's an advantage in going to 2.0. You have more labels. What would be the approach to be adopted for project owners who had their projects registered under 1.0 and wishing to position the later on compliance market both CORSIA and Article 6.2? I think we have touched this today morning, today in the session. You have to first of all see what is your objective. Do you want to sell your credits in those markets? Like, do you want to have ICVCM? Does it give you advantage? Or do you want to go to Article 6.2? Do you also want to take advantage of CORSIA first phase, but also pilot phase? So you will look at your crediting period. Let's say your crediting period starts in 2019. Then you know your crediting period for 10 years and you're opting for 10 years fixed crediting period. It will be from 2019 to 29. Then you know for the first year, your project can be eligible for CORSIA first phase only or voluntary carbon market for 2019 and 22 years. And then from 21 onwards till 2026, it can be eligible for CORSIA first phase, provided letter of authorization corresponding adjustment is addressed. And it can also be eligible. Now, you cannot make it, you don't want to make it eligible for both Article 6.2 and CORSIA at the same time. You have to choose one. And then for the remaining time after 26, because CORSIA has not decided any label. So the best option, if I was project developer, I will choose Article 6.2 label because that will give best value for my credits at some point in time once they are issued. So I think if I'm a project developer, I will think in these lines. I leave rest to you, but if Shubhendu wants to, touch on this, I think, yeah.
No, it's okay. You can move to the next question. Yeah.
Okay, so the point B, in the same vein, would it mean that GCC 1.0 is only eligible to CORSIA under VCM and not under compliance market? No, that's not correct. 1.0 also had CORSIA. That's also a compliance. CORSIA is a compliance market, right? Non-CORSIA. Okay. Now, under B, there are multiple questions. So we go to another one, point 2. Upon registration of the project, we have seen that eligibility pertains to C+ pilot phase only and not for the first phase. What would be the reason for this? For the record, we have seen on the GCC approved projects portal, there's a lot of projects under this category. That's correct. That's true. I think the reason is simple. When Corsia approved GCC for the pilot phase, we were only allowed to certify and provide labels on pilot phase. We were recently approved in November, I think, 2024 to label credits with C plus for first phase, and that's the reason. And since the requirements of those came at that point in time, we quickly drafted all these requirements for the GCC. That's why if you see our standard for Corsia, it has two sections as of now for requirements for pilot phase and requirements for first phase. The requirements for first phase only came quite recently. And even though we had produced an advanced version of that, but that was subject to approval by tab of Corsia, which came only in November 2024, and that is the reason why this is there. So we don't know the requirements, so we cannot certify any project. We don't know whether it will qualify or not. And secondly, the Corsia and tab of Corsia had raised concern. They said that please do not label projects with the first phase. First of all, you have not received approval. First of all, none of the program has received approval earlier, prior to November. And then secondly, also because they were changing requirements. You see, they capped at the renewable energy supply to grid at 15 megawatts. So if we would have certified them earlier for the first phase also, then they would have automatically become ineligible at a later point in time. So I think it's coming directly from Corsia, and that's why this is happening. So what does it mean then? It only means that in your PSF, you can opt for all the labels that you want. Your verifier will not certify you for first phase, for example, if you do not have a letter or you do not apply corresponding adjustment. However, at the point of issuance, if your PSF already contains this information, and at the point of issuance, you can claim all those labels. At that point in time, we will label the credits with C plus first phase and pilot phase for both the phases, in case you are eligible. I hope I was clear on this. If anyone wants to add a bit on this, please feel free. Under the trading of ITMOs on compliance market, would the project owner still be eligible to receive retroactive accounting of his emission reductions? In our particular case, the commercial operation date of the emission reduction started. So I think we discussed it briefly, right? Shubhendu said, we have A1 type, A2 type is already, now we do not accept anything on A2 type. They have been submitted, they are finished, the deadline is finished. So no retroactive crediting. There is a small amount of flexibility in terms of, you can say, retroactive crediting for 80 type projects. That is limited to 1 year only, as was discussed. Category C and category T projects have not yet been submitted to us. I think this makes this whole thing very, very clear to you. So for this case, I don't think this project is eligible.
No, I think just a second. Like, see, this entire question is based on a project which got registered with us. It's a very project specific case he's asking. In that particular, he's trying to say that his project got commercially operational from May 2019. Whether that project is already registered as a A2 project with us, whether that project can eligible to get retroactive credits. That's his question. Yeah, the answer is yes. It means it will get retroactive credits from the date of operation, which is May 2019. Since he's already registered with us as a A2 type project. If he's going to ask him,
I think because this question doesn't say that background of registration. So the point is, if your project is registered, you will get whatever is registered, and if you are able to implement it and demonstrate that to the verifier, there's no question. If your project is registered already and it's operation since May 2029 and it's registered with that, obviously it will get credits from May 2029 if they are generated. Okay. Next, point 4. We understand that the projects already registered under GCC 1.0. There is no mandatory timeline for transitioning to 2.0. We already said it. Till January, there is a deadline. You have to do it.
No, if it's already registered, you can continue issuances for your next rating period all throughout under 1.0. If you want to access new labels and new markets, we have to move to 2.0. Yeah.
2.0 by submitting a PRC, post receipt change. Yeah. Okay, 0.5. Thank you for correcting Shivendra. 0.5. We understood that for projects that would stay under 1.0, the PMR would still need to be done using 2.0 format. Could you please confirm this?
Yeah.
Correct. Shubindu said it earlier that our PSF template or PMR template that has been drafted in such a way that it can cater to the requirements under 1.0 and 2.0. Right? So the answer is yes. For projects registered under maybe 1.0, should project owner wish to transition to 2.0, VVB to be appointed would have to verify the PRC under the prior approval track and the PMR. Could you please confirm this? Yes. If a project is registered under 1.0, the project wants to transition to 0.0, you have to submit a post-registration change. For submitting a post-registration change, you first need to change the registered information in the PSF. Obviously, you will have to work on, the PSF and modify it. And then once it is PRC is approved, the new registered PSF would come on the portal. That will be your last version of the PSF registered project documentation. And then at the point of issuance, you will implement whatever is registered and accordingly, prepare a PMR in line with the new version of the PSF. New version of the PSF. Now, if the monitoring period is straddling between the periods which were for some part of the period, version 1 of the registered PSF applies and then version 2 of the PSF applies, then you have to accordingly also look at that aspect. But in case it's the first monitoring period, then obviously you will apply the latest one. Okay, with respect to the above, what would be the expected time frame for approval of a PRC under prior approval track? I don't think, I think I can only talk about GCC. I think we will not take more than a month or 30-35 days as per the procedure. How much time you will take, because you have to prepare the documentation, PRC form, that's very quick. A new PSF. I will leave up to you what time you will take and how much time your validator, your VV will take to validate it.
Just one thing, Amit, if I want to add to it, is that unlike, you need to understand two things here, and that is PRC can be anything and everything, right? It can be 1.0 to 2.0, it can be changed in monitoring plan, it can be changed in label. So it will vary depending on the type of change that you're seeking, right? So it can be as small as just change in start date of creating period and nothing else. It can be as complex, you want to change the whole stuff and change in project design. So PRC covers an ambit of what they're in. So it's very difficult to give a timeline to all scenarios that can be covered under PRC. The second is, please understand, unlike issuance and a validation process, there is no closed iteration loop for PRC. So you can go back and forth multiple number of times because we don't expect that to happen in a PRC route therein. So it will also depend upon what kind of a submission you make and what are the questions that go back to you. But as Amit said, we take the minimum amount of time to come back to you when it comes to GCC's work therein.
Okay, so there is one last question now. For the avoidance of doubt, I think this I've already answered. When applying for approval of PRC under prior approval track, should the project owner need to submit a new PSF? Is the new PSF template different from GCC 1.0? Yes, we said it. Yes, you need to submit a new revised PSF. So is PSF template different from GCC 1.0? I think you can better answer it. I will not really respond to it because we have said yes. There are new labels. If there is new information, obviously, if there are new labels, you have to provide new information on the new labels, right? Which means then the PSF template obviously will be different from the first one, right? And there are new concepts like letter of authorization, host country letter, corresponding adjustments, and many, many things, right? There is new labels on 6.2. There will be information, obviously. Nobody can, provide you issuance on the new labels without any information, right? It has to be there. Okay, let's go now to the other questions that we had previously. Okay, so there was one question just to update GCC new requirements. I think probably we covered it all, and we also short of time. We discussed there are many new things that are coming up, and that's why you have this new PSF. There is one question on from Water and Power Development Authority. Joseph, would you take this up, these questions,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, again, it's a very particular project related case, but like we'll try to answer in generic ways so that it others also can understand. So this project case is one where like they had submitted the project with GCC 1.0 and the GSC got expired. So this I think already shows the answer, but let me reiterate. Now it's left to you that you can based upon your assessment, you can continue in 1.0 also, or you can go to 2.0. But if you want to continue in 1.0, then you have to keep in one thing in mind that the project has to be registered on or before 31st January 2026. Otherwise, the project will be transited to 2.0 automatically after that. That means you have to again rework on the documents according to 2.0, the PSF template and the verifier has to change his verification report accordingly. So it's entirely your call. That's one. Second, as Amit had mentioned, that if you have intent to go for say new labels like say Article 6.2, or if course is applicable in your case, for instance, or other certification labels, then you have to go to 2.0 even after registration also. Say for instance, you register the project before 31st January 2026 using 1.0, but you want to get Article 6.2, which may be a possibility in case of projects in Pakistan, then you have to anyhow do the post-registration changes if you register through 1.0. So what it means, it's entirely is choices yours that you want to continue in 1.0 or do the changes now itself and go for 2.0 from day one. And as Shunda had mentioned earlier, like say for instance, your GAC has got expired, say in March 2025. Then you get another 6 months from now. If you go for 2.0, in 6 months from now, means you get 6 months for the project to submit registration. Another 6 months, because like since 1.5 years is allowed in 2.0, you can avail that benefit also. So it's entirely left to you to decide upon. Is there any concerned person who can guide us in filling the additional documents? See, like we already have all, as Amit had shown you, the GCC resource document, which is already provides all the information and the PSF filling template is there. Everything is there. However, if you require any specific questions, you can always reach out to us and we can help out. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joseph. I think there's one question with it looks very specific question. Shvindu, the point number 3 from Joint Stock Company EL5 Energo.
So the question is, the project was prepared as per GCC 1.0 requirement and resubmitted for RFR on February 20th, 2025. Once the project is registered, the post-registration changes to GCC will be requested under the issuance track. Okay, right? This required changes to be included in the project monitoring report and submitted along with the request for issuance. Yes, when you go in for the request for issuance, you have an option of triggering a PRC in order to be able to, move to 2.0. The migration of 2.0 should be completed by 31st of January 2026. There's nothing like that. Once your project is registered under 1.0, you can go in for transitioning to 2.0 and there is no end point to it. You can submit your PRC, it will undergo all the checks and balances and the validation and then come to us, we will approve of it, and then the documentation will be changed. You can then move forward with the 2.0 documents. However, the first monitoring report will be ready definitively after 31st of January 2026. Please clarify how to proceed in this particular case and how to. So as I said, so what you intend to do is to get your project registered on 1.0, no problem. You want to move to 2.0 after registration using the PRC, no problem. When you want to go for PRC, you have to choose a monitoring period and then go and toggle the button at the bottom saying, I want to go for a PRC. The moment you go into PRC, you will be presented with a change form. You have to fill it up. You'll be asked to provide all the documentation. And then the verifier will decide which route you have to go. If it is a prior approval route because of the transition from 1.0 to 2.0, you will appoint a validator. Validator will go through all the documentation, give us their opinion. We will see whether it's okay. And if you say yes, then you have moved to 2.0 standard. All the documents are changed as per the ones that you submitted, and then you can go ahead with the issuances. No problem.
Thank you, Shubhendu. Okay, so one last question is from Bureau Veritas, which is a VEV. They're asking about competence-related trainings or guidelines. The way I understand it, um, so we have been conducted calibration trainings earlier, right? If you have joined those trainings, that is something here. We have not yet conducted calibration trainings for, specifically for verifiers. Of course, the trainings that we have been given 7 webinars, there is some kind of calibration training on the GCC requirements, but it's not particularly focused on the verification requirements. It is generic requirements with regard to project development and project application of the requirements on the on the projects. That will definitely also help verifiers to understand the requirements. If your question is with regard to whether you want specific trainings with regard to the verifiers, please drop us an email. We can think about it, and we can definitely set up a training I would say program for any of the requests. Our fee schedule actually clearly says so. If there are trainings that can be organized depending on the timelines, depending on our workload, but also it will be on paid basis. So yeah, this is the short answer to these questions. But now let me, I think there are a few questions that were answered in the chat. Many of these were answered. I don't know if anyone has been left unanswered. I think perhaps maybe there is one from Manuraj. Maybe it's a very specific question. He had submitted project before 31st January 2025.
Yeah, we already told him to send it over mail, so we will respond
Okay.
to it over mail.
Okay. Okay. And so then there are no other questions. At least I couldn't see any other questions. Let me see the Q&A box. Or there are a few questions in the Q&A box. Tanushri, we responded to Tanushri. There is one from Manjuraj. It's the same one. Okay. It looks like the same question actually.
Meenakshi,
yeah,
some
Meenakshi.
projects have been under GCC assessment for more than 6 months. If they are not registered by January, will it be automatically migrated to GCC 2.0? Yes, the cutoff point of registration is 31st of Jan 2026. If it's not registered by 31st of Jan, then it would be mandatorily migrated to 2.0. If you have any other specific question, you can send it to operations. We can look into it.
Migrated to 2.0 means that they will be available as it is in 2.0 projects portal, but their PSF would not be updated to 2.0. For that, you have to submit a PRC if you want to take advantage of those, labels, new labels, and so on and so forth. Okay, I think we responded almost all the questions that are in the chat window.
We have a project on a completeness check. Tanushri's message, we have a project on a completeness check, and I've received comment from JC. So that's the same one as the, okay, that one. Okay, yeah. Automatically migrated. However, we are unable to submit, and that's okay. If you go to 2.0, yeah, the projects which are earlier on GSC hasn't done GSC is moved to LOA stage. You have to submit the LOA, submit the 1.0 LOA form. We approve the form. Then you have to go that all the documentation with respect to 2.0 and submit to us. So if there are again the same questions come, you know the questions. So you're going to take care of the questions in the new submissions, and then you can move ahead with the GSC and the validation of the project.
Yeah. So I think let's stop here, and let's give opportunity for the participants to ask question at this point in time. Please, raise your electronic hand, and yeah, then we can give you floor. You can ask questions. You can do it now.
We need to check whether they can do that with Anam, because some activation is needed.
Anam,
Diego, you
No
have a question?
activation is not needed for this. They can raise the hands.
Yeah. I saw a question coming in from Diego. Diego, you wanted to say something?
Small one.
Okay. There's one.
No, there's one. Prasad, yeah.
Please go ahead.
Very nice. And this one is well.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, what I want to know is like if you want to get into GCC 2.4 for the upcoming projects, and it's been already commissioned. So is there any extension for the 1 year gap on in time period which we need to register? I don't know if you want to get into it.
No, so what your question is that as per A3 category project, your initial submission of the project has to come into GCC within 1 year period. you want a relaxation, these are special cases. Generally, it's, you have to write to operations with your request. It cannot be clarified in this open session, please.
So one more thing, and if we have 2 or 3 projects in one account, and if you want to migrate one project to 2.0, is it possible?
Yes. So you might be the focal point of multiple projects, and one of the project wants to move to 2.0. That project only will move to 2.0. The other projects will remain on the 1.0 because these are projects which are migrated against the accounts, not an issue.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? This is the opportunity. After this, we will not be able to do any webinar for quite a bit of time. So
Just a response to Diego, if you have something which you wanted to get clarified on, but because we speak too quickly, you could not understand, could you please send in your questions on operations@globalcarboncouncil.com? Then we can respond to them over mail.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, that could happen. Consider include a native English speaker. Okay, yeah, we will try.
It's the same question. It's the same question only, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So then I will okay. So then till the time there are questions coming, I would quickly ask you actually, all of you here. So we have different sections: registration, issuance, post-registration change, and 3 primarily areas. For each of those, there is a process, transition requirements. Then there is another aspect of it, which are the requirements that have to be applied, particularly, let's say, E plus, S plus, and SDG related, and the documentation, template related, or navigating projects portal. Do you find any difficulty in any of those areas? And which of those areas is something where you need enhanced support? So out of these areas that are listed, and let's say for registration, where do you probably think that this is little I would say difficult to understand, or you need little more understand? This will help to understand us where is the challenge that you might be facing. So if any of you have any thoughts on this, it might be helpful.
They can put in chat also, or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
thoughts they have. Yeah.
You can just put in chat, or you can just raise an electronic hand and seek ask for floor. So it seems like everything looks good. Then I would think so. So if there are no other questions, then I think
I think
Gauri,
the same.
please.
Gauri has a question.
Prasad.
Gauri.
Yeah. One more thing what I want to know is like regarding E plus and EBL label. Is EBL label comes like when there is no law on any particular thing and we are doing voluntarily, right? So somewhere or there will be any law stating like there will, for example, if you're saying monitoring of any particular thing, and there will be something somewhere stating there will be some limits. So how will we distinguish, like whether it will go to E plus or EBL? I mean, do you understand?
Yeah, Mayank, can you respond?
Yeah, sure. So in the registered PSF, if you go as per the standard, you have to identify whether there are applicable laws and regulations in the host country. If there are applicable laws and regulations in the social and environmental aspect, you would already identify those limits within the registered PSF, and you need to then check whether the impacts during during the monitoring periods exposed is above those limit or below those limits. So that is in the legal part. If you are applying for EBL labels, which are the enhanced labels, EBL or SBL label, and in certain aspects, let's say there are no laws and regulations in the host party, when you choose these labels, you can still set limits by looking at the international best practices. So for example, on environmental part of a project, you can refer to certain guidelines by US EPA or maybe UNEP. We wouldn't question if you are using these limits from a recognized international standard. You can also set internal corporate policies which are at par or stringent the international best practices, and then these become your limit to check whether the impacts are being mitigated and stayed within limits exposed or not, and accordingly you request the labels exposed. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, I understood. One suggestion, I mean, one not suggestion, I just want a small request. So, I mean, finding out what factors have been already listed in host country. For example, let's talk about India, and it's very hard to describe which comes under, which doesn't comes under any government laws. Almost every small aspect comes under law. I mean, is there any list like these things for any particular, for example, if we talk about any particular type of project activity, is there any list like these are the only things which come for E plus, or like this can go for EBL?
There is no list, because the way GCC standard is being structured, it is open, so it is very project agnostic. So you can refer to different aspects within the E plus S plus form, and all those aspects are listed. Regarding which laws and regulations are applicable to the project activity, this will be very obvious to the person, to the project owner who is implementing the project activity. Okay. While there are certain projects, for example, carbon capture, CCS project activity, wherein regulations might not be as developed in a particular country as in some other country like US or some other markets. Okay. So therein you can refer to the international best practices. But short answer is that there is no particular list, because the standard is project agnostic and there is no project specific legal list that exists in our standard. However, to refer to the international best practices, there are certain footnotes wherein we refer to different standards to which you can use for international best practices.
Yeah, just to answer a little more than what Mayank put in, when it comes to legal requirements, the legal owner obviously knows what are the legal requirements they need to cater to in order to continue doing business in that host country, and they do all the filings and necessary reporting as per the legal requirements, either it's stated in your consent conditions or your somewhere as a part of your doing business. So you will get all the information from the legal owner, because they have to comply with law in order to be able to continue business. If it is not covered under legal requirements, then obviously they go into the BL, beyond legal category. And as Mayank said, there are several reference points you can go to find out what are the best practices internationally.
Okay, understood. So it's like mandatory, whatever the mandatory legal requirements are there, those comes under E plus. There will be other legal requirements also.
Yes.
They may not be mandatory, so they will be going in EBL. That's what you mean.
Yes.
If I'm correct. Okay, fine. Understood. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. I think also, we understand that maybe few of the participants might hesitate to, ask question, or the question is they're not able to frame the question right now at this point in time, and they definitely have an opportunity to send us an email on operations. We'll be able to, respond to their query. But in case you find difficulty in, still you're referring to the manuals that are publicly available, the trainings, still you are facing difficulties in using the portal, please do not hesitate to write to us. We will schedule a call. We will respond by email, whatever is the best possible. We will handhold you if you face any difficulty. So please do not hesitate. Write us an email. We have people who constantly look at those emails. They're dedicated people. Their job is to make sure that your responses are provided in a timely manner and to the satisfaction that is possible in a reasonable way. So please write us an email. So with this, if there are no further questions, I would like to thank all of you. We're already outshot by 16 minutes. So I would like to thank all of you for your time and for your participation, and have a great day today, a great evening for many of you. Bye-bye and take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And lastly, I would like to also thank my panelists and my colleagues here who spent quite a bit of time on this. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.